weeks to make sure that as the situation changes and as new information and new resources are made available, that our members are informed of that, that our members have the resources and support and assistance that they need in order to successfully make it through this period with as little interruption or impact as possible. And so today's call is the first of what will be a regular update call for any and all of our members who are looking for more information or looking to have questions answered. And so we figured it would really be it would make sense and be the logical thing to start with the resources that are being made available by state and local officials to help small businesses make it through this period. And so I'm grateful for Seyum, Sam, and Lisa for making themselves available to share resources. As Adam mentioned, this call is for our members, so we want to make sure that as you have questions, that you put them into the chat feature, or that when we open up the audio line, that you are able to get your questions answered. If for whatever reason your question isn't answered on this call, please follow up with one of us. We will make sure to reach out to Lisa, Seyum, Sam, or anyone else to get those questions answered. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Seyum and Sam from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation.
Thanks. I think our Deputy Secretary, Sam Rickers, would be saying the remarks.
Good morning. Thanks, Seyum, and thanks, Saul. Saul, I was just on a call with Secretary Missy Hughes, who I know you've met not that long ago, and she sends her regards. It's important for us. I know Seyum is plugged in to this group regularly, and it is our commitment as WDC broadly and the leadership WDC to make sure that one of the more important things we can be doing right now, is things are so fluid, is to make sure that we are as plugged in and communicating as much of things that we know as regularly as we can. So thanks for inviting us to be on the call today. We are in a fluid situation. It's an unprecedented situation for Wisconsin workers and businesses, and that is our main focus at WDC and across the Evers administration. I want to just very briefly touch on the federal stimulus, what we know right now, the governor's safe at home policy, and get to some of the WDC resources that are out there now, and then turn it over as quickly as I can to, if there are any questions. I need to hop off at 9 or at 10 o'clock. So very quick, I'm going to put in the chat box. I think I've figured out a way to do this. The best guide or summary that we have been using, I think I put it in there, pasted, there it is. This is from a federal source, IEDC, as their summary of the Senate bill that has passed. We know it passed very recently. There are $150 million in there that bolster state and local governments, another $100 billion for hospitals. But the $350 billion in loans for small businesses that are largely to cover wages, we're really looking at that pot of money. There's another $500 billion program for our larger businesses, and that really comes in the form of loan guarantees and loans. But we are most excited about the $350 billion. That will be a pot of money that is administered primarily through the SBA. And so the SBA has a lot of work ahead of it. But what we have learned, and you can see it in this summary, is in the SBA's new program, it has dramatically made its programs more open, required less from businesses in terms of kind of the stringent expectations that are expected to access and use its programs. So I just encourage folks to look at that, and we are monitoring the situation in Washington regularly. At the beginning of this week, folks are well aware, I'm sure, on this phone and on this call, and I want to wrap early so I can hear your perspectives of what your businesses and folks that you're dealing with are feeling and thinking, and questions they might have. But we know that at its core, that was a decision about public safety and stopping the spread and flattening the curve as we look at COVID-19. We had just a massive deluge of businesses around the state contacting WEDC asking for clarification, whether they're deemed essential or non-essential. And what's really been not necessarily surprising, and this might be the case because we're from Wisconsin. Secretary Hughes, who's from New York State, not proud of the city originally, said, hey, in New York, folks would just say, no, I'm essential. They'd read it and they would deem for themselves that they're essential, rightly or wrongly. And what we really have witnessed across Wisconsin businesses, that they want to do the right thing. They want to keep their communities and their employees healthy. And so while we've had a lot of inquiries, it's reassuring that I think businesses broadly want to do the right thing. If there are certainly workers who've had concerns as well, and they have reached out to us, and we really encourage the employees who've reached out to WEDC with concerns to make sure that and suggest that they're communicating with their employers. At the same time, we're urging those employers to listen to their employees, to work out solutions. There's concern and fear and nervousness, and that's understandable on all sides. The order would allow and does allow for law enforcement to step in if necessary, but we're really counting on businesses to really act proactively to do what's right to keep their community safe. And fortunately, I think we're really seeing that by and large. And of course, as the situation evolves, we'll continue to work with businesses to keep workers themselves and their businesses safe. There is a kind of a deadline where the safe ride home order does expire, and so it's about 30 days. And when we're reaching that point, it will be reevaluated. In terms of, and I'll just wrap up quick, in terms of WEDC and SBA resources, I'll quickly start with SBA resources. They're not administered through us, of course, but we do what, as I mentioned, they are the emergency programs that are out there are much more friendly to businesses to access them. To apply for those SBA programs, the economic injury disaster loans or express bridge loans, the application goes through the SBA, but Wisconsin's SBDCs are partnering with the SBA to really provide businesses assistance through that application process. And so that's where we'd really encourage businesses looking at SBA loans or programs to go first. In terms of our programs, about a week and a half ago, WEDC established its initial program to deal with COVID-19 and the adverse impact it's having on small business in particular. Those are the businesses we've really focused on initially because we believe those are the most vulnerable. Those are businesses with 20 employees or less, and within that group, businesses that are in the hospitality and service sectors of where we've really focused. In the initial $5 million grant program that we established, we are working in large part to be able to get the dollars out quickly through existing CDFIs who are in Wisconsin, active in Wisconsin, and have a lending portfolio in Wisconsin. And so we're relying on those partners who serve some of our more vulnerable businesses across Wisconsin to look to see if their existing borrowers as eligible folks that, again, are under 20 employees, eligible for a up to $20,000 grant to cover fixed costs, rents, payroll, as they're facing just a huge drop in revenue and cash flow from the COVID crisis. With that, I'm going to stop. I've not spoken, I hope, too long, and want to open it up to questions because I have to hop off in about 15 minutes. And not only questions, but also hear from kind of experiences from your businesses and how we can make sure that WEDC is responsive to your businesses.
Thank you, Sam. Hey, what we're going to do, folks, for everyone that's on the call, if you have questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat bar on the right-hand side. I'm going to take those of you that are on a phone call. Well, I can't unmute you. If you are on a phone call, you can please feel free to unmute yourself. We have 3 people that have called in. I think you can unmute by pressing *4 or *6. I don't know. It's one of the two. But let's go ahead and throw questions out as they come, and I'll kind of moderate for you here, Sam, and we can take advantage of Sam's knowledge and expertise while he's here. As the questions come in, Sam, I just wanted to start with one. Can you talk, for those that aren't super familiar with kind of the overarching mission of WEDC and what it is that you do specifically right now for our businesses in Wisconsin and for our professionals in Wisconsin, and kind of how that landscape has changed and shifted in the face of COVID? And then as other questions come in, I will go ahead and filter those to you as well.
Absolutely. For reasons that I probably don't have to clarify, we try and urge people to refer to it as WEDC as opposed to WEDC.
Sorry.
No problem. We can all figure out why that might sound better. But thank you. So WEDC is formerly the Department of Commerce under the previous administration. It was established as a quasi public organization, and the advantage in setting it up as quasi is really we are seeing it here, and that is it is governed by a board that's appointed by members of the legislature, the leadership, as well as the governor. But what that allows us to do, because we're not exactly a government agency, when we have crises like this, or when we need to adapt quickly and address something different, or a crisis like this, we don't have to think, oh my gosh, we have a program, just for instance right now, we have an international program that helps Wisconsin businesses. One of the things we do that helps encourage and provide technical assistance to businesses looking to export. Guess what's not happening as much right now? Businesses are not traveling abroad to trade missions and to conferences, and those are some things we support. So because we are more nimble as a quasi-public organization, we're able, without legislative, the whole process, to say, you know what, of the dollars that would have been spent in the next 4 months that are already budgeted for X, Y, and Z, for our international programs or our conferences that we would otherwise host, how can we take those dollars and redirect them really quickly to where we're seeing businesses really in need? And so our mission is to really support the economic vitality and the business climate of Wisconsin. And the structure of it as a quasi-government agency, we're still certainly subject to oversight by the Legislative Audit Bureau and other government entities, because we're using taxpayer money and support public dollars. But the ability to be able to bob and weave and quickly adapt to these circumstances, I think, is evidence right now. It's really fortunate.
Right on. Thank you for that clarification, Sam. I don't know if you can see your chat right now. You've got 2 questions, one from Patty and one from Wayne. If you can't see them, let me know and I'll dictate them to you.
I see Patty's: as a solo owner, no employees, sharing space with a nonprofit that has no employees, all volunteers. Is it possible it might be eligible for assistance? We cannot hold events, but still need to pay rent and keep our lease. So absolutely. So let me just clarify. So as a solo owner, so you are a for-profit company. One of the limitations, and as I mentioned, the current program that we've established, the $5 million grant program, it is a program that really helps some of our more vulnerable businesses. But it is certainly not comprehensive. It only has the capacity with $5 million to support anywhere from 250 to 500 businesses, and the funnel on that eligibility are those businesses who are current borrowers in good standing with CDFI lenders, and so that's a really, really narrow group of small businesses in Wisconsin. And so your question. Are you eligible for our program? You might be if you're a borrower in good standing with a CDFI lender. And when you're talking about the SBA programs, I'm not an expert there, but would encourage you. I know that they have really made their programs easier to use. And so one more thing, as I mentioned, one of the things that flexibility that we have as WEDC allows us to do, the SB 2020 program that we put out was the first program we put out, and we expect in the months to come to really be exploring how we can most nimbly but most profoundly use whatever remaining resources we have from this fiscal year and make sure that those don't sit on the sidelines as we're trying to look to support small businesses across Wisconsin.
Hey, Sam, let me just interject here before you get to Wayne's question.
Yep.
There is a grant opportunity for for-profit businesses that are currently members of, in good standing, members of chambers of commerce's, a select number of chambers of commerce,
Okay.
to include the Veterans Chamber of Commerce, Patty, which I know you're a member of. And it's a grant, I believe, up to $500. Saul, could you do me a favor and paste the link to that or in the chat box so people, I think it's for a small for-profit business, so revenue needs to be less than $1 million annual. Saul, please correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I think that's a way that a small for-profit business in good standing with the Chamber of Commerce can get a small amount of support on the quick. Saul, please correct me if that's what you're nodding in agreement. I see. So, okay, I don't think I botched that. He'll share the link here in a minute. Sorry about that interjection there, Sam. You can go ahead and continue with Wayne.
Great. And it's great to know. Obviously, I wasn't aware of that program you're talking about, Adam or Saul. And so those are the type of programs that we will also want to, these kind of cross communications help us better learn. And that's some of the value of this relationship as we're looking at how we're going to look at SB 2022 or 3 or what we can be doing in this emergency. Examples, successful examples like Saul just posted are helpful for us also to know about. Wayne's question, he's a self-employed, don't qualify for unemployment insurance. What program should I apply for to get funds to keep my business going? Let me first, before I accept your premise that you don't apply for unemployment insurance, let me ask you to check out the link that I posted of the summary of the Senate bill of the stimulus package. I read it this morning, and in it you'll see there's a provision in that stimulus, at least in the Senate version. It's called PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. And at least the bill is the Senate version that passed is proposing unemployment insurance for self-employed folks and for independent contractors who don't qualify for traditional unemployment insurance. So I would have you look at that number one, and then certainly look at some of the programs that Saul pasted in there, and keep tabs on what that SBA might be doing in terms of grants or loans, and keep it posted. We will be updating our website, so WDC's website, wdc.org/COVID-19 response. I'll post that into this chat box now. As we update, or as new programs come around, we not only will include updates to our programs, but it's our effort to try and, for small businesses across Wisconsin, make sure that we are providing information about all programs that might work for small businesses. So keep posted through that website.
Excellent. Hey, and just so everybody on the call knows, we are recording this. We'll send out to all of our members, not only the recording, but all the links and resources that are posted in the chat. We'll go ahead and put those as well, so you guys have, you don't have to furiously take notes here. We're going to just make sure that everybody gets all that info. Sam, I know you're running up on the end of your time here. Do you have time to address Jim's question?
I do, and I want to address it because it's something I don't have a silver bullet answer for him, but it is something that we are absolutely. It's a very topic of conversation that we're currently dealing with, right? Because what about businesses that don't currently have loans through WDC or through other lenders, right? Or had a loan, but they're just a great business and paid it off, right? So they don't currently have a commercial loan. How do they get funding? And so we are looking for ways. So you're right, the SB 2020 program that I talked about would require you to have a loan, and not through WDC, but through a CDFI to be eligible for a grant. But that's a limitation that allows us only to reach out to a subsection of small businesses. I would look again at SBA right now anyway as a place where you're able to access capital that does not require you to have existing loans. And SBA, it really is standing up the emergency loan programs. We're up on their site since last Friday, so for a week now. I will say that businesses, there was a webinar that I was participating in 2 days ago with the district director for Wisconsin for the SBA, walking through a lot of those programs. Some of the challenges, because they've been so overloaded, is that even registering for an account with them, folks were having trouble. So if you try to go on their website, want to register your business and are having trouble even doing that, the advice was try not during the middle of the day when it might be overloaded. Try in the early morning or evening to start that process with SBA.
Excellent. That sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Sam. You just provided a ton of really valuable information. And I know you said that you had to jet. Really appreciate your time and everything that you shared with everybody. That was a huge value add for all of our members. So again, folks, we're going to have a recording of this that we're going to send to everybody, and we'll share the information that Sam shared as well. If you're not presenting, do me a favor. Let's see, Michael, if you could turn your video off. We're glad to see you, though. I love the flag in the background, Semper Fi, right on.
Adam, can I have to
yes,
hop
sir.
off, but let me just say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I didn't get to do as much today is hear from folks on that are on this call. And so today I gave updates. We want to make it a regular practice to check in. And so I hope to join. If not, I think you guys are you hosting this weekly?
This is going to be weekly. Yep. We'll be sure to have you on again. I think next week our guests are, oh gosh, I don't remember off the top of my head, but we'll definitely be able to bring you back on maybe if not next week, the week after, but definitely have you on regularly. I think that's a huge value add.
Great. And I'll be on my schedule, maybe if not to contribute, but just to listen. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Sam. Appreciate it. Friends, we're going to go ahead. Brian, if you could do us a favor and turn your video off. Lovely home office, though. Appreciate all you guys being here. We're going to go ahead and turn over to Lisa with the Veteran Business Outreach Center, VBOC. Lisa, you can go ahead and turn your video on so everybody can see you. And go ahead and give us an update. Tell us about yourself and tell us what resources you have available and how you guys are responding to the whole COVID thing.
I will do that. So for some reason, my video camera will not stay on. It was on in the beginning, but it is just not wanting to come on anymore. So I guess you just have me.
Oh, that's okay.
Audio here. So,
yep.
Oh, okay. So yes, I'm Lisa Taylor. I'm one of the directors with the VBOC. VBOC is Veterans Business Outreach Center. And what the VBOC is we're an SBA resource. So we're funded by the Small Business Administration. And our job is to work with the military community who owns businesses or who are thinking about starting a business. And so if you are military connected in any way, so you're a veteran or you are active military in any of the branches, or you're a family member. So if you're a spouse of a veteran, if you are, the adult child of a veteran, if you're connected to the military in that way, we are here to help you. Our main function, what we do is we're contracted with the Department of Defense to teach the Boots to Business classes on active military installations. We also take that class into the community across the state of Wisconsin in a condensed form as a one-day class. And we call that a reboot class. And it's really just a high flyover of entrepreneurship. So the other thing that we do with our clients is we just consult with them over the phone to find out, you know, where you are in your business. Are you just getting started and you're not sure what to do next? Or are you, you know, at a certain point in your business, you need to grow, you need to get to that next step, and what can we help provide to you in order to get you to that next step? So we work with a lot of different resources in local communities so that when our client needs something, we can get them to that local resource, again, to get them to the next step. So that's basically what VBOC does. For myself, I am a military spouse. I'm also a small business owner. I've continued to run my business kind of around what I do with the VBOC. But let's talk about resources, resources for you as business owners. Everyone's calling me about, you know, financial. So what are the financial options for you right now? I'd like to start with really taking a look at your own bank. So you have a relationship personally, professionally with your banker. So go back to them and just say, hey, do you have a special program right now? Or what are your programs right now? Can I get a line of credit to get me through the next few months with operating capital until we've come out on the other side of this? So always look to your own bank. But as far as SBA resources go, I know Sam talked a little bit about the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That is a lot of the questions that I'm getting lately is about that loan. The SBA is doing webinars twice daily to provide you in-depth information about that loan and how to apply for it. But just very generally, it's a loan being provided by the SBA with very generous loan terms. So 3.75% interest for for-profit small businesses. Very long repayment period. You could be approved for 15 years. You could be approved for 30 years. It just kind of depends on your situation. Initially, they will do, I believe, up to a 12-month deferral on your payment once you're approved for that loan. And they're trying to turn around those loans as quickly as possible. So that's just kind of the very basics of that particular loan. Again, very generous with the loan terms and what they're attempting to do with that loan. Now, with that loan, you do have to show that you've been negatively impacted by COVID-19, which may mean that you are sending in your finances from last year versus your finances from this month, and showing that because of this virus, you've been impacted negatively. So anyway, that is that loan. Now, there are also other loans coming out. I know Sam talked about the grant opportunities through the CDFIs if you have a current loan with a CDFI. Our host organization is WEDC, like Adam mentioned. WEDC is a very large CDFI and microlender in the state of Wisconsin. What they are doing is, and I believe it's going to go live on Monday, they are working to put some other loan programs in place that are going to be you're able to access them for just a short amount of time. Right now, they're looking at having them available from March 30th through June 30th, but they're for those individuals, those businesses that need working capital, right, due to what's going on. Again, I can't talk really specifics about them because they haven't been rolled out yet, but I just want to encourage you to watch for those to come out. If you connect with us at the VBOC, we are sending information to our clients every time we get those opportunities made available so that our clients know what's going on. You can also connect with WEDC directly and just kind of watch their website. And I should backtrack for a minute. With all of these resources coming out, I'm going to send a list of them to Adam so that they can get posted by the Veterans Chamber or can be sent out to you via email. There's so many of them that I knew I wouldn't have the ability to put them all in the chat box. So WEDC is going to be a great source for special loans. And when it comes to veterans in particular, they are always trying to chase down grant dollars or specified loan dollars, where they can turn those dollars into a specific veterans loan fund. So again, WEBIC is a great place to keep looking and see what they have available and what new loan products they're putting into place. So that's kind of the financial resources. When it comes to technical assistance, so just having someone there to say, hey, you're having an issue here, let's help you. You've got a number of different SBA resources that are still available to help you. They've been available, they're still available, and it's going to include the SBDC. Sam spoke about them briefly as well. They are on the front lines right now of helping those folks that need some assistance with the disaster loan applications, but they are also still there to help with your basic questions. They've always been able to help with things like business plans and help with marketing, bookkeeping, things like that. SCORE is also another resource that is funded by the SBA, available to you as a small business owner. All of these resources have no cost to you to access them. Now, the VBOC, I mentioned staying in contact with us. If you connect with me, and I will, again, send out my email address along with these list of resources to Adam. But if you can connect with me and I can get you just registered with our VBOC, you're in our database to receive information not only about Wisconsin loans, but we are we report to the federal government. And if they have opportunities nationally, they provide that to us, and we also send that out to our clients. So if you keep connected to us, we can inform you about those things that are coming up and available to you. I will also say that the Veterans Chamber is a fantastic community. You want to stay connected to the Veterans Chamber. And in a similar line, the VBOC is a community. So we actually service 3 states, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Minnesota. And all of your information is kept confidential with us, of course. But occasionally, I have a client that'll reach out and say, I'm really having a problem in this particular issue as it relates to my particular business and industry. I'm wondering if there's somebody available through the VBOC having a similar problem or has overcome that problem that I could connect to and maybe be mentored by. And so I had that situation recently when somebody was having an issue with Amazon as a distribution channel. And I simply sent out an email to those clients who I knew were in manufacturing. And I said, we have a new client interested in getting some tips or some advice about working more efficiently with Amazon. Would anybody be willing to speak to him? And I had 2 people just email me and say, yeah, just connect us by email, and I'm happy to provide that mentoring for him. So that's another way in which we can help out through the VBOC. Now, educationally, we're still talking about resources here. Educationally, the VBOC is looking at putting some of our modules for our reboot class online as a webinar. But while we're getting up and doing that, because we've been pretty inundated right now, there's lots of other options out there for you for online learning and for webinars. WEBIC, I know, has put all of their classes for the next 5 weeks on online platforms, and they have a calendar of those classes, and you can go to their website to take a look at those and register for those. SCORE is also a very good resource partner for classes, online classes. So lots of different classes you can go to. Some of them are very specifically being targeted for this COVID crisis. And as those classes come online, you can take a look at those as well. One other area that I want to touch on as far as resources go is government contracting. So if you are currently in government contracting, if you have a contract, this crisis may be affecting your ability to satisfactorily perform that contract, right? So we partner very closely with WPI. WPI is Wisconsin Procurement Institute. They are the centralized PTAC for the state of Wisconsin, and PTAC is Procurement Technical Assistance Center. They are everything when it comes to government contracting. They are the entity that can help you certify your business, get a veteran-owned small business certification. They're also there, especially right now, to help you if you're not able to satisfy your contracts that you've got with the government. So they're a fantastic resource when it comes to government contracting. And then finally, just kind of as a broad resource, because I do have a human resources background, I do want to say that if you're a business that has employees, please stay connected to the Department of Labor website. There are new laws coming out, being enacted very quickly that are there to protect you and to protect your employees. And these are laws that you have to make sure you're complying with. So please make sure that you're connected to the Department of Labor website and you understand as an employer what your responsibilities are for employees. So that's kind of my spiel on resources.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Lisa. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Friends, go ahead and throw your questions out on the right-hand side of the chat. Lisa, can you still see the chat over there?
Yes, okay.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and if you are on a call, feel free to unmute yourself and throw your questions out there.
Yeah, so I'm seeing the question about the acronym after WPI. So that was a PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And again, those are the folks that are there to help with government contracting or prime contracting.
If you are on the phone to unmute yourself, you just press *6, *6. All right. Any other questions about anything that we've gone over today? Now is your chance, folks. Lisa's here to answer questions. I believe Sayum is still here in case there are some WEDC questions. If you have any Veterans Chamber questions that you want to throw out at myself or our Executive Director, Saul, we're here for you as well.
Yes, okay, I see Saul's question about the process for applying for the SBA disaster loan. So it is a link, it is an online process, and I will definitely send that out. So I'm going to send again a whole list of resources out to Adam when we're finished here. I will send that link out as well, but essentially you're applying online. And what you want to make sure that you do is a couple different things. So their system is getting bogged down. Obviously, they are getting thousands and thousands of applications in for these disaster loans. Excuse me. So you want to make sure that you're saving as you're putting your information in online. You want to make sure you're saving your application often in case their system goes down. The other thing you want to make sure that you're doing is to go in and you can print off the different documents that you're going to be filling in online, print those off and put in the answers so that when you do go online, you've got everything at your fingertips and it goes faster that way. You're going to be asked to put in a lot of financial information. So you want to make sure that you have that information available, written down in front of you so that when you're putting in all those figures, you've got it right at your fingertips. So that has been kind of the advice as far as applying for those loans. These are loans that are actually being underwritten and distributed at the federal level, at the SBA level. I know a lot of us, when we talk about SBA loans, guaranteed loans, we know that we go to our bank for those. We go to an SBA guaranteed lender. But with this particular disaster loan, it is all being centrally underwritten and dispersed at the federal government level.
Outstanding. All right. Any other questions, folks? While you're typing questions, if you have them, or for our phone caller inners, again, *6 to unmute. Feel free to just throw your questions out there. While we're waiting for any more questions, if there are any, I'm going to go ahead and bring your attention to something that the Chamber is doing right now. I'm going to share a link in the chat. Or if you go to wiveteranschamber.org, you can click the COVID. We have a COVID resources page, a COVID guide for our members that basically tells you, it's a running list of ongoing legislative initiatives, things that have been passed, resources that are available to you. So please, I'd encourage you to go to WIVeteranschamber.org to check that out. Again, just click on COVID-19 Guide and Relief Fund. We also have a nonprofit relief fundraiser. I shared a link for this. We have teamed up with Lift for the 22, which is a Wisconsin-based veteran serving organization led by Dan Newberry. They are acting as the fiscal agent for a United Relief Fund. Basically, we are raising money to support specifically veteran serving nonprofit organizations. And we've had an anonymous donor step forward and say that they were willing to match dollar for dollar up to $10K. So if you want a united support fund, if you want to help veteran serving nonprofits, basically the nonprofit world a lot of you are in, you know that they're facing very unique struggles, whether they're a C3 or a C6 or anything in between, facing some unique struggles right now as a result of the pandemic and the way our lifestyles and our businesses and our economy has changed as a result of it. So veteran serving organizations are no different. And they, they save veteran lives and military families. So please, and any bit that you have that you're willing to contribute to this, again, I put the link in there. We're at about 2,300 right now. So amplified, that's just under $5,000 because of our anonymous donor that's meeting us halfway. Or that's matching us rather up to 10K. So please, if you can't donate, feel free to share that link far and wide. We would really love to maximize the amplification by that anonymous donor. Any other questions here before I turn it over to Saul to say farewell to everybody? Lisa, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. We'll be sure definitely as things progress to invite you on again down the road as we get more stuff from the SBA and WEDC and VBOC. So again, thank you, Lisa. If there are no further questions, and I don't see any, again, you can follow up with us. We'll make this video available. Saul, I'm going to turn it over to you to say goodbye before we have a mass exodus here. People are already starting to sign off. So here is Saul.
Thank you everyone for taking the time to join us this morning. Thank you to Sam Sayum from WEDC and Lisa from the VBOC at WEDC for presenting and for sharing such valuable information. As we mentioned, this will be a weekly call moving forward. Next week, we are working with representatives from the Department of Workforce Development to have information about resources needed by employers who need to respond to the COVID-19 crisis. Again, thank you, Adam, for raising and fighting the COVID-19 Relief Fund. We've been really blown away by the response and the generosity since we launched this campaign earlier this week. We know that veteran service organizations are being the first impacted and are also really seeing a sharp increase in demand and need. So we'd love to be able to help those organizations make it through this time. So with that being said, anything that you need, we remain here to help all of you. If you have any questions that you weren't able to get answered or you weren't able to raise today, please feel free to reach out to me, to Adam, Kit, Randy, any member of our staff. If we don't know the answer, we will do our best to find the answer for you. And we'll look forward to touching base with all of you again over the next week. Thanks for taking the time to join us, and stay well.